Good morning and welcome to the CI 2021 virtual conference. I am Meredith Holcomb, the chair of the American Cochlear Implant Alliance Board of Directors and the director of the Hearing Implant Program at the University of Miami. I am so excited we are finally all together to talk about my favorite topic, cochlear implants. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's satellite symposium as much as I did. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, please make sure you go back and catch up on the sessions and find out about all the innovations the CI companies are offering. Now, you may be wondering why I have this obnoxious virtual background behind me. Well, it's because we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the ACI Alliance. I cannot believe it's been a whole 10 years since a group of professionals came together and decided, you know what, we need an organization devoted solely to improving access, advocacy, and awareness of cochlear implants. So in October of 2011, the ACI Alliance nonprofit organization was born. I think it's so important to remember where we began to fully appreciate where we are today. Similar to the current social media trend of how it started versus how it's going. While prepping for these opening remarks, I looked back at the first ACI Alliance conference that occurred in 2013. The difference between then and now is astounding, for obvious reasons, of course, but also for many others. In 2013, there were only about 600 of you at the conference, which was pretty good for a first conference, and almost all were from the US. Today, we have over 1,300 participants registered for CI 2021 with professionals from all across the globe. The conference format in 2013 consisted of only 6 panel sessions with less than 30 presenters. And over the next 3 days, we have countless podiums, posters, and panels. You're going to hear more details about that from Sarah and Matt, the conference co-chairs, in just a few minutes. I think what struck me the most when I looked back at the 2013 conference were similarities between the topics discussed then compared to the ones we will discuss here over the next few days. However, they undoubtedly have different meaning in 2021. In 2013, the ever popular Renee Gifford, Bruce Gantz, Camille Dunn, and my friend Meg Dillon discussed clinical trials for hearing preservation and shorter electrodes. Clinical trials. Now, of course, we have EAS and hybrid FDA indication. Holly Teagle, Tom Rowland, my colleague Yvette Sejas presented on the importance of cochlear implants in the very young. And they discussed why implanting under 12 months was a great idea, especially for spoken language outcomes. You guys know this, 9 months now is our FDA indication, which is incredible. And I think most of us are still implanting even younger. Nancy Young and Terry Zwolin led a panel about cochlear implants in multiply involved children. And now I think you've seen over the past few conferences, a common theme focusing on the whole child, the importance of multidisciplinary teams, and the importance of quality of life for children for whom spoken language may not be an option. Jill First and the late John Neparco, to name a few, spoke about cochlear implants for single-sided deafness, something that was completely foreign to many of us at the time. Now, as you all know, we have SSD and asymmetrical hearing loss as an FDA indication. And if you're anything like our clinic, I feel like we never see any traditional patients anymore. They're all SSD coming through our door. Frank Lynn presented on cochlear implantation in the older adult, and one of my favorite speakers of all times, Jace Wolf, discussed the next level of hearing assistance technology. Now we have bimodal systems, we have Bluetooth streaming, and we have focused adult oral rehab efforts that the CI companies have really spent a lot of time perfecting. We also now have the Alliance assisting with research. Craig Buckman and Terry Zwolin have spent several years focusing on CI candidacy expansion for CMS and the older adult population. We supported my very dear friend Teddy McCracken's research on the development of the first cochlear implant quality of life outcome measure, which is so important, as I think we all know speech scores do not always tell the story of our patients. And in a few minutes, you're going to get to hear from the Alliance's new friend, Congresswoman Debbie Dingle, on her advocacy efforts with Medicare. The last session that was presented in 2013 was about telehealth and cochlear implants. Todd Houston and Hannah Eskridge led those panels. And not surprising, they're going to be speakers for telehealth sessions over the next few days. Telehealth has obviously become such a popular topic that now we have 2 sessions in this conference, not just 1 panel. I distinctly remember sitting in the back of the room of that conference hall, and I was sitting Indian style, while I don't know, on the floor. And I looked to my colleague next to me and said, you know, this is great information, but when are we ever going to need this? And I think you all know the story today. Telehealth and virtual platforms for meetings and for communication have allowed us to be able to still stay connected to family, to friends, and to patients. It's turned voices into faces, and it's allowed us to connect in a world where personal connection did not occur as frequently as in the past. CI companies have really put a lot of effort into initiatives for telehealth and virtual platforms for trainings and for customer service for our patients. And even from education, I myself have presented in India 2 times over the past year from the comfort of my own living room. I was charged initially to speak about leading in difficult times, so I'll only say a few words on the topic. I'm not sure whether there is a more difficult time to lead an organization than over the past 15 months. But with the help of a strong village, or a squad, as I like to call it, it was a feasible task. Thank you to the conference and research committees, the state champions, the board of directors, the alliance staff, especially Donna, the CI companies, my family, and each of you. With your help, we have pushed forward with new initiatives, new research grants, new advocacy efforts, and new educational opportunities, even when the world around us seemed to stop. I've been incredibly amazed by your continued support of this organization, and I'm beyond grateful for your trust in me to serve as chair for the past 2 years. I hope that my ability to lead during this difficult time was evident, and I look forward to seeing more women and more audiologists in this role in the future. In closing, several years ago, my friend Josh Swiller, who many of you may know, he actually has a cochlear implant as well, he sent me an email after speaking at a conference I organized in South Carolina. He said, in the Jewish faith, when you bring people together for a common cause, you are doing God's work, and you did just that. I think about those words all the time, and they mean so much to me. And I think whether or not you believe in God or a higher power, I hope you believe in the strength of this CI community, our time together at this conference, and our shared mission of providing cochlear implants to all who need them. All right, now let's get this party started, y'all. Today is a day of celebration, not only for the 10-year anniversary of the ACI Alliance and the 2021 virtual conference, but I think it's a celebration for each of you and your successes in leading through difficult times.
Thank you, Meredith. On behalf of the program committee, welcome again to CI 2021 Virtual. Challenges associated with this past year, including operating room restrictions, redeployments, distance programming, and even therapy through plexiglass, have offered us all a new appreciation for what it means to pull together to meet our patients' needs, rely on colleagues, and to celebrate our team successes. What a perfect year to organize a meeting by bringing together diverse perspectives.
And new for CI 2021, this year's meeting wasn't organized by a single center, but instead it's been planned by a geographically and specialty diverse program committee comprised of audiologists, surgeons, therapists, and educators from 15 distinct programs from across the country. Further, the virtual format this year enables greater collaboration from centers around the world.
Despite some challenges, this last year has not slowed down at all, and there's been a tremendous amount of work being done around the world. And we're so thrilled to receive and blindly review over 350 high-quality abstract submissions. And due to our entirely virtual format, we don't have the same space limitations that come with an in-person conference. And so we've gladly accepted over 100 high-quality podium presentations and over 200 posters. For this meeting, we've organized concurrent sessions according to primary interest areas. Specifically, we have concurrent audiology, surgeon, and rehab educator tracks. And with the recorded format, you'll be able to view any of these talks at your leisure, even if they're in concurrent time slots.
In addition to the concurrent proffered paper sessions, we have several highlighted plenary sessions that promise to offer exciting new perspectives.
Don't miss the 3-session Rehab Connect Forum, which will highlight the complexities of family-centered intervention, maximizing reading potential in children with cochlear implants, and the challenges of transitioning to life beyond high school.
The conference will wrap up with a first-of-its-kind offering, which provides an innovative peek into the exciting practices that are challenging the status quo with creative solutions to conventional problems in a session entitled Cochlear Implant Cribs, Multidisciplinary Cochlear Implant Team Video Series.
Also new for 2021, the program committee has selected 9 top abstracts out of hundreds submitted. This year's winners span a variety of topic areas, centers, and many continents from across the world.
Be sure to attend these award-winning sessions and enjoy learning about some of the most exciting advances in implantable technologies.
Similarly, new for this year, the committee has reviewed several hundred posters to find the top 30 abstracts, which are highlighted in a brief oral presentation on Thursday afternoon. Following this, please attend the poster sessions where you'll have a chance to interact with the poster authors to exchange ideas. And here are the poster winners. And now we will hand it off to Dr. Jacob Hunter, who will present the Student Poster Award winners. Thank you again, everyone. We hope you enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Sarah and Matt. Good morning. I have the honor of announcing the winners and runners-up for the Student Poster Competition on behalf of the judging committee. First off, I'd like to thank the committee members for their time and energy in reviewing an outstanding collection of presentations. This year, we received 64 submissions, all of which were exceptional. After much deliberation, we are proud to announce 3 winners and 3 runners-up from 3 separate categories: audiology, rehabilitation, and surgery. The winners are Mana Espabodi, David Lanthauer, and Teresa Hennessy. The runners-up are Amy Noxon, Sonia Kim, and Luke Helpard. Congratulations to all 6 presenters, as well as all submissions. Clearly, a lot of hard work went into all these presentations. We look forward to seeing many more submissions in CI 2022 in Washington, D.C. Now, I'd like to introduce Donna Sorkin, who will be discussing ACIA Alliance advocacy role.
Thank you so much, Jacob. ACI Alliance was founded 10 years ago to address cochlear implant access through research, advocacy, and awareness. And although this meeting is focused on research, we also engage to promote change that may provide improved CI access. It is the research you do that drives our public policy efforts. These are the key public policy issues we're working on right now, and we'll be talking more about them tomorrow morning at the organizational update. I'd like to recognize Nicole Weston, our governmental affairs manager, and our team from the Powers Public Affairs firm in Washington, headed by Peter Thomas, for their superlative contributions. Peter and Nicole will be with us tomorrow morning at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time to explore what to expect in the public policy realm in the year ahead, including further details on the Medicare priorities that Congresswoman Dingle will discuss. I'm thrilled to announce initiation of a new ACI Alliance Advocate Award. Our first awardee, Richard Reed, is a CI recipient, musician, and spectacular advocate. One of our first state champions, he's active in state issues, particularly the Rhode Island Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, where he urges that citizens are informed about the entire continuum of hearing care. Richard, thank you. If we were together, we would be clapping, so you'll need to imagine our applause. Meet Richard tonight at the 5:30 social event where he will play and talk about how he relearned to enjoy music and play professionally with a CI. Grab your family for a fun time. Moving now into the advocacy portion of the program, it's an honor to introduce Dr. Terry Swollen, co-chair of our founding board. She led our initial discussions with Congresswoman Debbie Dingle's office on hearing healthcare, whose district includes the University of Michigan, where Terry has directed the CI program for over 30 years. Terry?
Thank you, Donna. Good morning. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to introduce Congresswoman Debbie Dingle, who represents Michigan's 12th district in the U.S. House of Representatives. I am definitely a proud Michigander. I frequently remark on the great support that patients with hearing loss receive because they reside in the great state of Michigan. Congresswoman Dingle is a member of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce, and she is a leader on several important issues, including advocating for seniors and veterans and improving access to healthcare and hearing healthcare. In February of this year, Congresswoman Dingle introduced H.R. 1118, the Medicare Hearing Aid Coverage Act of 2021. This bipartisan bill promotes more robust Medicare coverage of hearing technologies in order to help patients access better sound and improve their quality of life. I was proud to be part of ACIA's work with Congresswoman Dingle's office on this legislation, and we are pleased that the bill includes a reporting requirement related to how federal programs provide support and access and address mitigation of hearing loss overall. CI 2021 is an important time for providers across the continuum of care to come together for several days and discuss the most important and emerging issues in hearing healthcare. We hope that the discussion at the conference help move us forward in advancing the organization's overall goals of supporting research, advancing advocacy, and improving awareness for cochlear implants. I can't think of a better speaker to help us begin this conference than Congresswoman Dingle. Congresswoman Dingle, thank you again for your time, and I'll turn the floor over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Zolan, for that kind introduction and for your meaningful work at the University of Michigan, for all your leadership on this issue. And thanks so much to ACI for having me here today. It's exciting to be here at CI 2021, as we're currently working around the clock to ensure Americans have a comprehensive infrastructure package, especially one that includes significant care options. This year's conference theme is spot on. It takes a village. This phrase couldn't be more perfect for today. In these times of uncertainty, division, rebuilding, we need to work together to accomplish our goals. And it's made easier when everyone has a common goal. In this case, we're focused on expanding access to hearing technologies, especially cochlear implants. We need to continue to spread the word about access to hearing devices and advocate for a better healthcare system that provides them. I know everyone here is all too familiar with the effects and the reality of hearing loss. Nearly 48 million Americans suffer from hearing loss. And when left untreated, it can cause serious emotional, social, and medical consequences for older adults. In fact, older adults with hearing losses are 32% more likely to require hospitalization. And they also face a 24% increased risk for cognitive impairment. And they increasingly suffer from isolation and depression. And yet, even with these unfortunate statistics, basic needs like hearing technologies are not covered under Medicare. This leaves millions of seniors at a loss to pay for those services that are critical to maintaining a healthy, independent lifestyle. This has been very personal for me for many reasons. Medicare represents a guarantee to our seniors that they'll be cared for during their later years and that they won't have to face the threat of bankruptcy because of high medical bills. The program has proven to be incredibly successful in achieving these goals. It's part of the fabric of what it means to be American. But we have to always keep looking forward and finding new ways to improve the program, make it more efficient, and close gaps in care. This is even more important now that life expectancy is increasing and people are living longer than ever. We have to start to have these conversations now, because if there's one thing I know about Washington, excuse me, it is that legislation can take a very long time to pass, which is why it is so important that we have this critical discussion now. We're at another inflection point in the history of our country. The number of Americans over age 65 will more than double over the next 40 years. We have an obligation to improve and enhance Medicare to ensure it's providing the services that they need. The reality is that there are very serious gaps which exist, and I see it firsthand as I talk to people and experience the system every day. I saw it with my own husband. My journey into improving long-term care in this country started when I started to take care of my late husband. We learned firsthand how hard it is just to get a bill paid, the difference between primary and secondary insurance, the importance of physical therapy and home care aides. And I'm luckier than 99 9/10 of the people in this country. In short, we got caught in that maze that so many other people get caught in, that they've got to go through every day in order to get the care that they need. We have to expand and improve Medicare in a number of areas, from creating a new financing system for long-term care to dealing with the skilled nursing care issues and making it easier for seniors to get care in their homes. Coverage for hearing devices must be improved. That's why the very first bill that I introduced as a member of Congress was the Medicare Hearing Aid Coverage Act of 2015, which would allow Medicare to cover hearing aids and exams. And this year, we reintroduced it in February. I'm hopeful that with the help of advocates like you and an understanding from both sides of the aisle, we can really get this done. Hearing loss is a quality of life issue that can have an impact on cognitive health as well. More than 9 million American seniors suffer with hearing loss, which is the third most prevalent chronic health condition facing older adults. But more than 70% of all older Americans who need a hearing aid simply don't get one. And too often, it's because they can't afford it. Hearing loss leads to frustration, embarrassment, social isolation, as well as increased safety risks for things such as an inability to hear oncoming cars, smoke alarms, or just the phone ringing. Imagine a quality of life cut off from your community because you cannot hear. No one should feel isolated, confused, shut out from the world because they can't afford the treatment that they need. A study by the National Council on Aging found that those with untreated hearing loss were more likely to report depression, anxiety, paranoia, and that they were less likely to participate in organized social activities compared to those who wear hearing aids. And now, a growing number of studies have shown linkage between hearing loss and increased hospitalization, depression, cognitive decline, including dementia. A 10-year longitudinal study of patients in Baltimore found that those with hearing loss had a higher probability of developing dementia, with the probability rising as the severity of the hearing loss increased. The relationship between hearing loss and the development of dementia is convincing and striking, according to the researchers. You know what? We've got to take heed of these warnings. We must act now. It's time. It's time for Medicare to cover treatments for the whole senior, and not just for bits and pieces. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. This is just one example of a whole host of other issues we need to address in terms of expanding and enhancing Medicare. From promoting aging in place, increasing access to affordable options for long-term care, and reducing copays under the Part B program, so the program is more affordable, among many other things. But we have to continue this conversation with urgency. It is essential that the next wave of seniors who enter the Medicare program have the benefits they need to ensure that they live healthy and productive lives well into the future. Having good hearing coverage is part of that. If we expand coverage for hearing aids under Medicare, we can change not just the lives of people with hearing loss, but the lives of their family, their friends, their colleagues, their neighbors. It's this simple. No one should feel isolated, confused, or shut out because they can't afford the treatment that they need. And like I keep saying, it takes a village. It takes a village to get this legislation passed. It takes a village to advocate for people with hearing loss and fight for their needs. And it takes a village to continue to research and educate on this issue. We're all in this together, I hope. I'm going to need the help of everyone here in this room to make the case for why Medicare coverage for hearing aids needs to be expanded, that it makes just plain common sense. And we're only going to achieve it by working together. So by being here today at this conference, discussing these issues, you are making a difference. Thank you for your time. Learn a lot from this conference, but most importantly, when you leave, take action. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Dingle, for being part of CI 2021. And now we'll take it back to Donna.
We honor Dr. Ann Geers today for her lifelong work in advancing cochlear implant care and follow-up for children with deafness over more than 40 years. In talking about her life, she emphasized how important it was to highlight as well those individuals and institutions that she collaborated with and shaped her work. But Anne, I would argue that it was your unique insights that shaped all of our collective thinking. Anne was a graduate student in psychology at Washington University when she received a research assistantship at Central Institute for the Deaf. She worked with scientists who were measuring speech perception and evaluating new hearing aid technologies. She began developing ways to measure the cognitive and psychosocial development of children with hearing loss. In the 1970s, the school was so crowded with children from the rubella epidemic that a preschool class taught by Jean Moog was moved next to her research office, and thus began an extraordinary collaboration. The Moog Geers team developed a series of tests and standardized them on children with hearing loss across the United States. During the 1980s, they developed intervention strategies and visited with Dr. William House to evaluate children who had received the single-channel cochlear implant. They were astonished at how well some of the children were able to understand speech, and thus began Anne's involvement with cochlear implants. Through the 2000 decade, Geers and Moog conducted a nationwide study of 181 8 and 9-year-olds with multi-channel CIs from across the US and Canada, conducting extensive evaluations of their hearing, speech, language, psychosocial, and academic skills. 5 years later, they brought back 112 of these children, then adolescents, to look at long-term impact. Variability in performance outcomes was large, and they searched for sources of the variance, focusing on factors that could be manipulated, like age at CI, educational intervention strategies, and use of sign language. In 2002, Anne joined Emily Tobey and the University of Texas. Her work benefited from Dr. John Neparco's invitation to participate in the evaluation of data from the SEDACI longitudinal study of cochlear implants in children. Dr. Gears concludes, "It has been a truly awesome experience over my lifetime to watch educational management of children with severe to profound hearing loss move from long-term residential placement through elementary grades and beyond to mainstreaming in neighborhood schools with hearing peers. This progress is attributable largely to early CI and intensive infant and preschool intervention. I am convinced that the spoken language skills of children who receive a CI when they are young will continue to improve as we learn more about optimizing performance. And we are proud of all that you have accomplished and contributed to our field, and present you with the 2020 ACI Alliance Lifetime Achievement Award. Anne, could you please hold up the award?
Thank you very much, Donna, and thanks to the Alliance for this great honor. Despite what you say, I need to thank my the very most important people in this 40-year endeavor. I thank my scientific mentors, Ira Hirsch, Richard Silverman, Lois Elliott, Frank Pleffner, Donald Calvert. I thank my long-term collaborators, Jean Moog, Emily Toby, Johanna Nicholas, Lisa Davidson, Rosalie Yushchansky, and Chris Brenner. And finally, I thank John Neparco for pouring his heart and soul into developing the American Cochlear Implant Alliance, allowing all of us to share insights and move the field forward to benefit both adults and children with hearing loss. Thank you so much, Donna.
Thank you. And now I'd like to ask our next award recipient, the 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, to please join us, Dr. Richard Miyamoto, with the award to be presented by Amy McConkey Robbins.
Today, I'm privileged to present ACIA's highest honor to Dr. Richard Miyamoto. Rich, you're receiving this award because you're truly a trailblazer in the field of cochlear implants. You trained as a fellow under the House brothers in Los Angeles, and then the firsts began. You were part of the first national clinical trial of CIs, both in adults and then in children. You testified at the FDA hearing for the first commercially available CI, the House 3M device. You were PI of the first NIH R01 grant awarded to study speech perception and production in pediatric CI patients. You were on the first advisory council when the NIDCD was created. And let me just note here that these trailblazing firsts began before many of the attendees at this meeting were even born, because you implanted your first patient in 1979. And you were doing this work at a time when many, including some colleagues in our field, openly opposed cochlear implants. Your career includes thousands of patients whom you've cared for, a staggering record of continuous research support, 26 years as chairman of the department at Indiana, where you spent your entire career, hundreds of publications in the literature, honors and leadership in every professional society, including induction into the prestigious National Academy of Medicine. As one who has worked with you for almost 40 years, I can testify to your kindness, your gentle and respectful approach to people, and your emphasis on teamwork. You come from a proud Japanese-American family with a fascinating history. You told me that when you left home to go to Wheaton College, your father offered one piece of advice. Rich, he said, learn to do something well. Boy, oh boy, did you ever. For your courage in being a cochlear implant trailblazer, I'm honored to present the 2021 ACI Alliance Lifetime Achievement Award to you, Dr. Richard Takashi Miyamoto.
Amy, thank you for this wonderful award. The cochlear implant has evolved into one of the most significant advances in medicine. Its success is a result of dedicated teamwork and collaboration across multiple disciplines. The age span of our patients from the age of 6 months to 92 years is something and everything in between, actually. The goals of initiating the pediatric implant studies were to teach young deaf children how to listen and to speak. They would then be able to live at home and attend their neighborhood schools. With these lofty goals, Amy joined our team. I would like to tell you about the alpha patient in our infant studies. He was born deaf, failed his newborn screen, had a positive connection test, and failed a hearing aid trial. A cochlear implant was his only option, and he received a cochlear implant at the age of 6 months. He progressed through regular school and is now an engineering student at Rose-Hulman Institute. We have many other examples of successful students, but I take great pride in one of our own residents. He completed medical school and his residency in otolaryngology in our department with a cochlear implant. He was an excellent resident, and he is now performing cochlear implants in his own practice. Cochlear implants are clearly here to stay, and I have been privileged to be part of this upward trajectory. Lastly, I'd like to thank all my colleagues at the Indiana University School of Medicine, both on the clinical side and in the research arena. Thank you very much.
Hi, welcome back. So I wanted to just give you a little preview for next year's conference. Interestingly enough, we're going to go back to the place where the conferences for ACI Alliance originated. We're going back to DC. So CI 2022 will be about emerging issues, the same topic and title from the first conference. It will focus on adults and children. We will have podiums and posters, panels, focused discussions, CI company presentations, exhibits, and more. One of my favorite parts of being in DC is ACI Alliance on the Hill. I hope that you feel energized and excited about advocacy efforts for ACI Alliance after hearing that amazing talk by Debbie. I also hope that you are as excited as I am about listening to more conversations over the next few days about the Alliance. Thank you for joining the opening session of CI 2021. I am hyped for this conference, and I surely hope you are too. With that, I would like to invite you to kick off the conference with the annual John Neparco Memorial Lecture. Please go back to the agenda page and select the Join button next to the Neparco Lecture. I'll see you there.